Alright, hi there. So I have been meaning to check out something called HTMX for a while, and here's me giving it a go. So I've just got started off with a web page, the main website for HTMX, and I've read this before, but basically I vibe with what it says here. Right, so right now in a browser, if you want to create a web application, right, that application kind of just goes completely into front-end JavaScript frameworks. And maybe that's not the only option, right? And even within front-end frameworks, a lot of them have gone down the route of server-side rendering, right? So for example, Next.js and React, that combination. So this seems like an alternative where you have a no front-end framework kind of scenario. You just have a little library that sits there and just listens to these attributes on various HTML elements, hx dash whatever, and then based on that, it'll just make server-side requests and then re-render stuff on the client. At least that's what I understand from it, right? That being said, I haven't really checked it out in anything beyond that level of depth, and I wanted to check it out. So here's me giving it a go. All right, let's start with docs. So introduction. So this is interesting, right? Just make that a bit bigger. So you have a button and it's got a post attribute and it specifies a path /clicked, and then it triggers a click, and then it has a target of some other element based on the selector, and then I'm assuming this means that whatever the result is from this server-side API, it will render that into the outer HTML of the parent div, right? And in plain text. So when a user clicks this button, issue a HTTP post request to /clicked, and its response will be used to replace parent div. So it's like server-side rendering, but with the UI change logic specified in the client and the rendering of fragments of the UI in the server. That's what I get from this. Yep. Okay. So installation, okay, this is really good because I can just do cdn unpackage and it'll just work. So I don't need to deal with Webpack and all of that off the bat. Right. Yeah, so I can do this if I'm more involved. I'll probably start off with a cdn script for starters. Right. Okay, so the core is a set of attributes: get, post, put, patch, delete. Okay, all the HTTP verbs, and then you specify URL's value. When a user clicks on this div, issue a put request to the /URL path and load the response into the div. Okay, so if you don't specify a target, etc., then it puts it inside of the element that is triggering it. Okay, so change events, submit events, click events automatically trigger it. If you want to override it, then you set HTMX trigger. Right, okay, so you can have a trigger with mouse enter or a trigger with mouse enter once or with a delay throttle from. Okay, so that's more fine-grained control. Okay, so this is an example. So key up, where it changed, and then it'll wait for half a second. Multiple triggers can be specified, separated by comma. Okay, that's great. Okay, and then there's trigger filters as well. So control click only, for example. Great. That will save some messing around with custom UI code. Special events. Okay. Polling. Interesting. Okay, so that replaces the contents every 2 seconds. That's great. And this thing stops the poll, that response code. Great. What is 286? Okay, no longer available. HTTP code 286. It's based on slang. No reference to HTTP. .286 is not in this list. Interesting. So it's using a unspecified. So it's a success code, but based on slang. Okay, must be an inside joke from the devs. Load polling. Okay, this isn't too clear. I'll come back to that. Request indicators. Okay, so the indicator okay, so use HTMX indicator to specify the ID of an indicator element, and that just makes it visible or invisible while it's waiting for this response to come back. Okay, targets. So this is when one element wishes to target another element. You can use CSS selectors. There's some extensions here. Okay, it's getting into nuanced edge cases. All right. So I think I got the gist of it here. Right, I think I'm getting too far into the depth of this. Right, this is getting too detailed, and I feel like I should I should actually build something at this point in time. So this read of the first page and now reading the actual docs seems to confirm it. Oh, interesting. There's WebSockets, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, so I'm not going to get into all of that. I think the basics have been covered by what I've read so far, and I do want to continue checking it out. So yeah, do that in a subsequent recording.